everybody. Back in early part of the 21st century, I began doing online podcasts and things like that. I was very new at it, still am, if you haven't noticed. But I made several and I put them on my weekly web page, but I didn't leave them there because at the time it just took up too much space for storage. But I saved the podcast. I still have them, as you're about to find out. This podcast that you're about to see I made in 2008, so it's 14 years ago, before I started working on the museum, the print shop part or any part of it. So I just came in and I was looking around. The video is not real good, but don't expect it to be. The camera, I didn't have any light. The camera was something not a real good one, and it is what it is, as they say. I hate to say things like that, but it is what it is. So you'll bear with me. We'll take a trip back 14 years and how I found the first part of the museum when I first got started.
Well, hello friends, Romans, and Vermilionites, and former Vermilionites. This week I'm going to take you on a guided tour of the Vermilion News. It's not the greatest video that was ever made, but I'm sure that you will like it. And I'm not going to waste any time. I'm going to get right to it. I'll talk to you and see you next week. We begin our tour of the Vermilion News at the front office. That's my grandfather Pearl Roscoe's camera that he took a great many pictures around Vermilion with that you've seen on views and other places, and that's just one of the cabinets in the front office. The front office is where all the business was conducted. I suppose some writing went on there, but that was where the telephone ended, and it's blocked off from the print shop itself by a partition. These are just old posters that were printed in the shop. Old Remington typewriter. All this furniture is original. There's some very interesting artifacts inside some of the drawers that we found. An old pencil sharpener, that old chair I remember very well. I wanted you to see the windows and things that separate the room from the office itself, and some of the wiring that's there. Transom that leads into the shop. Looking over the other side of the room. That's not an original clock. That's one that Tom Boone gave me, but a clock did sit there for years and years. A clock similar to that. I found some very interesting things in that cabinet. I found a set of old false teeth in there. As I said, most of these fixtures are original. Filing cabinets, things like that. Some old newspapers sitting there. That's the door leading in and out of the front door of the office. The styrofoam's on the windows to keep the temperature stable. All that's original paint and things. You see where it wore off with people, and see the ink stains on the doorway. Kind of neat. This is inside the office, looking to the door onto the side of the news office. There are things sitting around that probably shouldn't be there. That's a proof that my brother ran on the proof press, which is directly below there. I can't tell you exactly what those pictures are. For metal plates he did those. Looking back into the office and then over to the other side through those glass windows that separate the print shop from the front office. Those papers hanging there are original file copies from the last printing of the Vermilion News. They were taken off the walls. That's where they were kept. They were printed on good paper. That's the proof press. Now we're just looking over at one of the walls into the. I just wanted to see that sign there. That's a type cabinet. Type drawers are inside of that. That desk there was used to set type while you were standing up or sitting in a high chair. There's the moving kind of fast here. I hope you can see what I couldn't get a good picture, and I thought my light was working on the camera, and it really wasn't. So it seems kind of dark there. That's a linotype that came into the news office about 1915. That machine, your computer that you're using today, would take the place of that machine real easy. That's how we set the type for all the newspaper articles in the newspaper. Prior to that time, they were all set by hand. The type came down, the lines were cast in lead, and then the leads were set in and locked into the forms for the newspaper. My sister Nancy and my mother and a few other people ran those presses, or those linotypes. Neat machines. That's the clock. My brother pulled a plug on it the last day the paper was printed, and he never plugged it back in again. It was in 1964. Those are just some papers that were set along there for people to view when they walk through there. Some pictures and things like that. Can't see them very well. I'm moving a little fast. Trying to get this video to work right, and I've never done anything like this before. Next time I do it, maybe I'll do a little better at it. Another view at the linotype. Everything is pretty much the way it was when the paper stopped printing. All the equipment is original. It's still in rather good condition. That is the electric motor that ran this press we're looking at. That's a big press that the paper was printed on. This one that I'm scanning to right now while I went by it. That press right there is a label press. It's an old one. The old inks on the shelf. Some of the tools that were used. Printing. That's an interesting little press there. But all the labels for like South Shore Packing and stuff were printed on that press at one time. This stone, and it is stone, that's where they put together the pages for the newspaper. See if I back off that a little bit. That's the Kelly press. Those are ink rollers laying there on that press. Getting over by the large press. I had to watch myself. It's pretty dark in there, and I was scraping up, and I didn't want to trip. I was trying to stay on my feet. That's a form in the bed of the newspaper, or the big press. Those are the electric boxes that gave electricity for the presses, etc. I thought those fixtures are interesting to look at. I don't see stuff like that anymore. Again, that's the electric motor that ran that big press. And I think that's the power to the press, that press in particular. Okay, now I'm trying to slide through here so I can move across the floor and get over to the left there. That's a saw. I was trying to get over, well, right now that's a type case. I'll get a close-up on this. You see a little bit, the writing on it. Furniture and litho-Roman type and sizes of the type case in the type case. There's another type case of probably twice or three times as large as that one there. Very interesting. The original type are in these drawers. I'm going to open one. Those are all little different letters. Those are your fonts like you would find in your computers today. Only they were lead fonts, made headlines and things like that. And actually the paper was, that's how they set the paper at one period of time. Papers on the wall are original. They just haven't been removed. They've just been there for years and years. I was trying to get into where my grandfather developed his photographs, but my brother has that shut off. He says the floor is bad there. Now I'm back to where they locked up the forms on the stone in the middle of the shop. There's some of the forms. There's some of the things that were locked together. Some of the tools. No smoking. Everybody in the family smoked, but I don't know if they paid any attention to their own signs. This is the newest press in the building. It's Heidelberg Press. I remember when we got that, boy. You ought to see that thing work. This press can really print not large jobs, small jobs, things like cards and labels and things like that, but it can really print them fast. It's very, very interesting. There's my drawing I did in 1954 on the wall. And here's, I'm going to go by this real quick, but it says John F. Kennedy was killed, and my brother wrote it on this calendar that's on the wall there. Tried going down the basement. The lights are not working down there, and I didn't know that as I started down, and I wanted to go in there because that's where all the lead ingots were cast and things, and it was very dark, as you can see. So it wasn't really worth my going in there any further than what you're looking at right now. Of course, that's where the furnace was too, or is rather. Floors in the shop are wood. They're very well worn. Now I'm going to go up in what we call the back room, where we kept all our paper stock and where we did all our bookbinding and things like that. There were old files left up there, and I used to like to spend a lot of time up here with my big brother Bill. There's a lot of stuff sitting around that shouldn't be sitting here, but that's the way it goes over time. People just drop things for whatever reason. Just trying to scan around the room pretty good. I hadn't been up there for a while, so I didn't know what to expect when I got up there. That there is it cuts paper, a paper cutter, a great big one. That thing's a dangerous machine. There's a bookbinding place, stapler, just shelves for stock, paper stock. I'm moving a little too fast here, I think. But I didn't know what I was doing, obviously. And the camera jerks around more than I really wanted it to. Okay, I'm going to make a turn here. And I'm going to head back down to the stairs. We'll get a good picture of that Heidelberg press before we close here. There it is. I didn't mean to get a picture there. There's a good picture of the press. The original Heidelberg.